Welcome to the Secret History channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. In 1913, it shows the Signet rear car, an innovative accessory designed to be attached to Harley-Davidson and Indian motorcycles, turning them into two-seat vehicles. Titled The Charred Spacesuits, it shows the damaged spacesuits of astronauts Gus Grissom, Roger Chaffee, and Edward White, who lost their lives in 1967 during the tests of the Apollo 1 mission. It is April 29, 1945, and it shows a moment near the end of a great world conflict. In the setting, newly freed people and military personnel appear in an area controlled by Allied forces. A medical record made at Utrecht Hospital in the Netherlands in 1890, documenting a case of congenital melanocytic nevus, popularly known as a birthmark. Westphal Reiner, a 4-year-old child, smiling for a studio portrait taken in the 1940s. He wears simple clothing and shows innocence and calm before the camera. The image, titled Flying Fists, portrays a moment of tension and desperation during the final evacuation of people from the city of Saigon in 1975 at the end of the Vietnam War. The scene shows civilians and military personnel trying to reach the last helicopter that would take off from the United States Embassy amid the chaos of the evacuation. It is 1969 during the Battle of Hamburger Hill in Vietnam, and it shows an American paratrooper awaiting evacuation in a combat area. He is surrounded by equipment in rough terrain while he watches the movement around him with calm and attention. Recorded in the Normandy region in France in 1944 during one of the most intense moments of the Second World War, it shows members of an armor crew being assisted by medics and military personnel after a confrontation. An aerial photograph recorded around 1917 during a French military operation in the Somme River region in France. In the scene, it is possible to observe terrain marked by trenches and clouds formed by the release of substances used in combat. It shows records of the consequences of the Bola cyclone, which struck the region of Bangladesh and parts of India in 1970. Considered one of the most intense meteorological phenomena ever documented, the event had extremely strong winds and major flooding. Citizens involved in relief operations in East Pakistan in the early 1970s after a severe humanitarian crisis. Difficulties in the distribution of resources and aid led to growing dissatisfaction and political tensions in the region. A double tornado phenomenon recorded in the city of Midway in the state of Indiana in 1965. The two funnels appear side by side, spinning with enormous force over open land while dark clouds dominate the sky. The forest of the Tunguska region in Siberia, Russia in 1908, after the atmospheric impact caused by the explosion of a celestial body. Thousands of trees appear felled and scorched, forming a radial pattern that extends for miles. It is 1960, and it shows the consequences of a great earthquake that reached magnitude 9.5 on the moment magnitude scale. This event is considered one of the strongest ever documented, affecting wide areas and leaving deep marks on urban and natural landscapes. A large fissure that opened in a road in the city of Anchorage in Alaska in 1964. The ground appears split into different levels, revealing the force of the earth movement that affected the region. Automobiles and onlookers observed the sight, showing astonishment at the magnitude of the phenomenon. The consequences of the great earthquake that struck Alaska in 1964. With a duration of 4 minutes and 38 seconds, streets and avenues appear fractured, with parts of the ground displaced and structures leaning due to the force of the shock. An Ethiopian citizen in Addis Ababa during the period of the event known as Yekatit 12, which occurred in East Africa in 1937. The record documents a moment of great historical impact on relations between Ethiopia and Italy. The house of John Schultz, pierced by debris after the Johnstown flood that occurred in Pennsylvania in 1889. The building appears tilted and partially destroyed, supported by wreckage brought by the force of the waters. Houses completely turned upside down in the city of Galveston, in the state of Texas in 1900. The buildings appear with roofs resting on the ground and the bases pointing upward, the result of the extreme force of a natural event that struck the region. The city of Galveston in Texas in 1900, shortly after the natural event that marked the end of its period of greatest prosperity. Previously known as the main port and commercial center of the region, Galveston had experienced a phase of growth and wealth that became known as its golden era. A large dredging vessel found about 3 miles inland in the city of Galveston in Texas after the natural event that occurred in 1900. The ship, originally used to excavate and maintain navigable channels, was carried by the force of the waters until it came to rest on solid ground. A derailed train in the city of Islamorada in the Florida Keys after the passage of the 1935 hurricane. The cars appear overturned and twisted on the tracks, while workers and residents observe the scene with astonishment. It is March 1921, and it shows a child in a village located in the former region of Samara in Russia during a period of severe food shortages. The portrait documents the serious difficulties faced by the population during the food crisis that struck the country that year. A poster displayed in Nashville in the state of Tennessee in the United States in the year 1956. The text on the poster reflects the social tensions of the period amid changes and debates about equality. People observe the place, recording a historic moment of great cultural relevance. President George W. Bush on board the presidential aircraft Air Force One on September 11, 2001. He is surrounded by advisors and security agents while following the unfolding of events of great national impact. The construction of the Berlin Wall in 1961 marked one of the most emblematic and tense moments in the history of the 20th century. The image shows workers and soldiers raising the first concrete and barbed wire barriers that divided the city of Berlin into two parts, one under Soviet control and the other under Western influence. Boys playing with an anti-tank rocket launcher known as a Panzerschreck in 1944. They are gathered on a village street, curious about the military equipment left behind after the passage of troops. A group of women taking part in a demonstration in Tehran, in Iran in 1979, a few days after the revolution. They walk through the streets carrying signs and expressing their position about the mandatory use of the veil. President Warren G. Harding greeting wounded veterans of the First World War on March 19, 1921, in the United States. In the foreground appears a man without legs using a wheeled board as a form of movement. A large display of German helmets stacked in the main hall of Grand Central Station in New York in the year 1919. The event was organized as part of the celebrations of the end of the Great World Conflict and the victory of the Allied forces. An experimental airship in England in 1917, before the introduction of enclosed command cabins for pilots. The aerostat appears on the ground, with crew preparing the equipment and adjusting the mooring lines. In 1908, it shows the impressive Clifton Suspension Bridge, designed by the British engineer Isambard Kingdom Brunel in the city of Bristol, England. The structure spans the Avon Gorge and is one of the most iconic landmarks of Victorian engineering and a symbol of 19th century innovation. The 1917 photograph shows sailors using life vests and flotation mattresses, known as life mattresses, during the period of the First World War. These devices were developed to increase the chances of survival in the event of shipwrecks or accidents at sea, when naval safety technologies were still limited. In 1967, it shows a curious and charming pedal car, Ferrari 156, adapted as a dog transporter in the city of Locke, France. Inspired by the famous Formula One model driven by Phil Hill, the small children's vehicle reproduced the sporty Ferrari design with details faithful to the original version. The image depicts a group of soldiers taking part in outdoor training in the mid-20th century, a moment marked by advances in tactics and preparation strategies. The image shows an electric automobile being charged at a private station in the United States in the year 1919. The vehicle is connected to a power point, representing one of the earliest initiatives in electricity-powered transportation. John F. Kennedy speaking to a group of people in the Appalachian region of the United States in 1960. He appears before an attentive audience, speaking about development projects and social improvement for local communities. Veterans talking with a group of Boy Scouts during the 5th anniversary remembrance of the Battle of Gettysburg in 1938. They are gathered in an open field, sharing experiences and historical facts in an educational way. Bear's Belly, a respected member of the Arikara people, photographed in the region of North Dakota in the United States in 1909. He is dressed in traditional clothing that represents the cultural heritage and identity of his people. A Chinese family posing for a studio portrait, captured at the beginning of the 20th century. They are dressed in traditional clothing, representing the customs and elegance of their time. It shows a group of people posing next to a large koala-shaped mascot in a sunny outdoor setting. The participants wear olive green uniforms, while the mascot, with a friendly appearance, puts an arm around one of them in a friendly gesture. The singer Mee Davis is present at a ceremony held on October 1, 1970. She appears among friends and admirers who gathered to pay tribute to an important musician of her generation. A fountain completely covered in ice in the city of Detroit in the United States in the year 1906. The extremely cold weather turned the water into a natural sculpture, creating an impressive scene. Members of the Blackfoot people gathered in the landscapes of Glacier National Park, located in the state of Montana in the United States, in the year 1913. They appear in traditional attire, positioned before the mountains and the open fields that characterize the region. The city of Deadwood in the United States in the year 1876. The wooden buildings and dirt streets reflect the period of rapid growth driven by the search for gold in the region. Emperor Hirohito of Japan, photographed in 1975. He appears in formal attire, representing the tradition and continuity of the Japanese imperial house. The portrait conveys a moment of serenity and respect, marking a period of modernization and reconstruction of the country. The United States basketball team during the 1992 Olympic Games, when professional players were allowed to compete for the first time. The team brought together the greatest National Basketball Association athletes, known worldwide for their talent and teamwork. An astronaut testing a prototype spacesuit in the Mojave Desert in California in the United States during the Apollo program. The test was carried out to evaluate mobility, durability, and safety of the suit in conditions similar to the lunar surface. The actor, Robert Downey Jr., being officially recorded as he was transferred to a rehabilitation and correction institution located in Corcoran, California on August 25, 1999. A lamplighter illuminating a gas lamp on a street in the city of Glasgow in Scotland in 1955. Dressed in a dark coat and hat, he uses a long pole to light the lamp, a common job before electrical modernization. Harrison Ford, working as a carpenter in the United States in 1970 before achieving fame as an actor. He appears focused on his craft, using hand tools in a simple workshop. Visitors enjoying a sunny day at Asbury Park Beach on the New Jersey coast around 1905. Men, women, and children walk along the boardwalk and the sand, dressed in clothing typical of the time. A group of women aviators known as the Night Witches, members of the Soviet Air Force in 1941. They flew light aircraft during night missions, showing courage and skill in extremely challenging conditions. Jean Bedel Bokassa during his coronation ceremony as Emperor Bokassa I in the Central African Republic in 1977. The event was carried out with great luxury and inspired by old European traditions with ornate attire and golden crowns. A group of children with Down syndrome at the Schönbrunn Psychiatric Hospital, located near Dachau in Germany in February 1934. They appear seated in a simple room under the care of the institution's professionals. Members of Armenian armed groups gathered in 1915 during a period of great instability in the Ottoman Empire. They appear organized in formation, carrying equipment and clothing typical of the time. In 1992, during a protest in the city of Gainesville, in the state of Georgia, in the United States. In the scene, a state trooper stands with his shield resting on the ground, while a child approaches with curiosity and looks at her own reflection. A rare photograph of a pioneer family recorded in the American West around the 1870s. Families who lived in frontier regions valued the opportunity to be portrayed to show their work and their achievements. A man holding a sign near the border with Mexico in 1929 during a period of strong social tension. He stands on a dirt road surrounded by simple buildings and a small group of people watching the scene. A Welsh miner taking a bath after a long day of work in 1931 in Wales. He is seated in a small tub in a simple domestic setting while he removes the coal dust that covers his skin. A group of people having fun on a ride called the Surf Whirligig in Chicago in the year 1921. The device spins at high speed on a circular platform while the participants try to keep their balance and enjoy the moment. An old vampire hunting kit from France dated to the early 19th century. The set includes objects such as a small cross, glass vials, wooden stakes, and a mirror, all kept in a carefully ornamented wooden box. A soldier feeding a goat during the period of the Battle of Saipan in 1944 in the Pacific. He is crouched, offering food to the small animal amid a simple and calm setting. A man in a traditional wooden structure used for public punishments in China in a period before the modernization of the laws. Around him, passers-by can be seen observing the written characters that describe his infraction, displayed as a form of social warning. The officer Pat Johnson of the Los Angeles Police Department in 1971 preparing an improvised crib to receive a baby who was found alone. Using simple materials, he created a safe and comfortable space until proper assistance arrived. The young Billy Van Horn posing beside an automobile decorated with pearl details and accompanied by two bears in Montreal, Canada, in 1910. The setting reflects the taste of the time for curious displays and public exhibitions of animals, common at fairs and entertainment events. The aviator Amelia Earhart during a flight lesson in 1933, guiding a student beside her airplane. Dressed in a leather jacket and aviator goggles, she shows confidence and enthusiasm as she explains technical details of the aircraft. A truck transporting Ferrari race cars during the Dutch Grand Prix held at the Zandvoort circuit around 1960. The vehicle, painted in the characteristic red, carries the competition automobiles carefully positioned and ready for the races. A man using a curious individual means of transport from the Victorian era, often compared to the modern Segway. The device consists of a small platform with large wheels and a manually controlled balancing system. The original voice cast of the series The Flintstones gathered in the studio during the recording of the program. Jean Van der Pyle, Alan Reed, Mel Blanc, and B. Benaderay appear smiling around vintage microphones, performing the voices that would bring the most famous animation characters to life. A bar built among the trees in Le Plessis on the outskirts of Paris, creating a charming and unusual environment. The wooden structure was carefully designed to blend with nature, with raised decks and tables positioned among the branches. Walter and Aloha Wanderwell during their journey around the world in 1925. A feat that made Aloha the first woman to drive around the planet. The couple appears beside their adapted automobile, covered with flags and symbols of the nations visited. Charlie Chaplin and Paulette Goddard, behind the scenes of the filming of the classic Modern Times in 1936. The two appear smiling among cameras and equipment, showing lightness and rapport during one of the most memorable projects of silent film. A circus artist specialized in knife throwing posing next to his assistant around 1900. The artist appears with a confident posture, holding his blades carefully balanced, while the assistant remains smiling before a wooden panel used in the performances. If you enjoyed this video and want to support the channel, please use the Super Thanks tool below. Your contribution helps us keep bringing you amazing historical content. Thank you so much for your support, and see you in the next video.